And we're back!
Hey!
And then merge began.
I guess. Actually, that is like one of my favorite things to do with a book is you change the second sentence of any story and it becomes and then the murders begin and it makes any book so much weirder or so much more interesting. Because I'm trying to remember, there's like I remember it's Charlotte's Web, I think, and it's the first line in there is, "Mommy, what is Papa doing with that axe?" And then the murders begin.
I think
Not wrong. Actually, it's kind of.
I think that probably would also like work pretty well with Harry Potter too, because it's the first line is something about Mr. Dursley. This is a quiet, normal neighborhood. Thank you very much. And then the murders begin.
Or one of the books in Hitchhikers. Some time ago, the universe was made, and then the murders began.
Despite having seen this monster in some form or another for over 15 years now, Cameron realizes he never really tried to move towards it. In the beginning, he tried to run away, of course, but it ended up following him. It never moved when he was looking at it, but the second he looked away and back again, it would reappear closer. Usually at that 20 to 30 foot distance. When he learned to ignore it, it just sort of blended into the background, and he almost stopped noticing it. As Cameron squeezes through the boards covering the window, he's only a few feet away from the thing. He realizes that if he makes contact with it, that if it's solid, then he won't know what to think. He never even considered that it might be real. But now, as those unnaturally long claws dangle from the sleeves of the raincoat, Cameron starts to worry. As he moves those last few feet, though, Raincoat Monster starts to dissolve into the dim lighting of the room, and the coyote is inside. It happens in a way that makes Cameron think of a mirage. But the creature is still here. Now across the room, against the wall, its ever-present, deranged grin plastered to its dark, furred face. Cameron moves toward it again, slowly this time. The creature still seemingly frozen, but in a way a real person would try to appear frozen. This creature is almost like an imitation of the one he's gotten to know so well. The one that almost became a companion of sorts in his childhood. About halfway across the dark, cluttered motel room, Raincoat Monster bends sideways, almost like it's going to do a cartwheel, toward the bathroom door. Its heavily clawed hands don't move, though, and instead, it just keeps bending, like a bridge, like an arch. And then it slips into the darkness of the bathroom. Cameron stares, the feeling of unease growing. Of course, shit like this always makes him feel uneasy. It makes him feel fucking crazy. But what just happened now? It felt deliberate. Like he's being toyed with somehow. Raincoat Monster had toyed with him plenty of times before, especially the first time he saw it. It was his own mind doing it, after all. But what makes him feel nervous now is that it seems like there's something else behind it. Almost like whatever was behind his first vision in the other motel room is behind this as well. So he should leave, right? Whatever that is, doesn't seem to have very good intentions. All it seems to want to do is fuck with him. If it is the same thing that hijacked his first vision, then it could look like anything. It disguised itself as Dev and said awful things to him. disguised itself. Was that even a disguise? Is it possible Devon somehow made that call? That would be the most plausible explanation, aside from malicious ghosts being real, something he never believed until now. He trusts Dev, though. Cameron looks at the boarded window. Why did Artie and Devon abandon him like this? Is this part of Devon's investigation still? Is this a setup of some kind? Like a test? Cameron continues to just stand in the middle of the motel room, staring around himself. This isn't right. He's not making sense. These thoughts don't make sense. But there are some connections, and he can't deny that something about the whole situation is off. The voices, the whispering, it continues to ebb and flow, and there's a slight electronic quality to it. It's not impossible that someone could have planted a speaker in this room to make him think he's hearing the voices of ghosts. After all, Devon had been so adamant that he not come back to the motel with them to gather his equipment. That would have been the perfect opportunity. He tries to listen to them, but they blend together and mumble quietly, and he can't make anything out. If this is a setup, then Raincoat Monster could be a real person. Someone in a costume, or something is wrong. Suddenly, thinking itself is becoming difficult. He's still high after all. But at the same time, things were suddenly making at least some sort of sense. If this is some kind of sick joke, that would explain a lot. A distant chuckle breaks through the hushed whispers. It sounds kind of like Devon.
Devon?
Cameron points his ears towards the bathroom.
Artie? Guys? You can't really be doing this to me, right?
His voice is weak, unsure, and afraid. Something creaks to his left and the coyote jumps, staring wide-eyed.
Guys?
In the back of his mind, Cameron knows that whatever this is, whatever's going on inside or outside his mind, is not good. He needs to get out. Suddenly, something starts pulling at the boards of the window. Cameron gasps, stumbling back, an explosion of fear taking over in a way that he's never experienced before.
Cameron, you're in there, right? You okay?
It looks like Devon, but the coyote's moving for the bathroom because he's not completely sure, and even if that really is Dev. Cameron pulls the door to the bathroom closed and fumbles with the knob until he finds and presses a push lock that somehow still works.
Cameron, honey, are you in there?
Cameron keeps quiet, pressing his paws to his muzzle, suppressing his instinctual urge to respond.
Cameron!
Cameron listens to the bear's heavy footsteps on the ruined floor. Then, the doorknob to the bathroom vibrates violently. Cameron yelps.
Stop! I'm sorry. I need to figure things out right now.
There's a pause, one that seems to go on for a very, very long time.
What? What? Like what?
Devon's voice is equal parts confused and concerned.
Baby, what are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
What happened?
I don't know. Why did you guys leave me?
Leave you? I'm right here.
I looked up the road and you were just gone.
Oh, Cameron, something happened. It's a little complicated, but I can tell you about it on the way out. I'm sorry I left you when I said I'd watch you. We need to go right now.
Something happened. is a little complicated.
Cameron, please open the door.
Devin lets out a nervous laugh.
You're freaking me the fuck out right now, honey.
That only puts Cameron more on edge. But Devin thinks he's the one that's acting strange.
You're freaking me the fuck out. Why did you even bring me here? Is Artie there too?
Another long, horrible pause. When Dev talks again, his tone is changed completely, like he's being very careful with his words. Like Cameron is crazy.
Honey, can you tell me what's wrong? Did something happen?
You tell me, Devin.
You're really starting to worry me, baby.
Devin's voice cracks. Cameron doesn't know what to say. He doesn't have to think of what to say, because at that point, something rakes painfully down his back. Like a giant set of claws, and Cameron gasps, then screams as another set of claws grip over the top of his head. He'd completely forgotten about Raincoat Monster, but even if he remembered, he never thought it could touch him.
Cameron, open the door. Open! Damn it! Stand back, Cam.
The air seems to explode as the flimsy motel bathroom door splinters with ease, Dev having kicked it in. With some light filling the bathroom now, Cameron sees that he's fighting with nothing. He thought it had to be Artie. Suddenly, the bear is grabbing him, trying to hold him or pin him, and Cameron just struggles, trying to pull away.
Aw. Cameron, what happened? Please calm down.
Just let me go.
Cameron is crying now, and it's making him gasp for air.
Let's breathe, Cam.
No, stop doing this to me. Just let me go.
Doing what to you? What happened?
I don't know. I don't fucking know.
Cameron's struggles become more wild, kicking out and fighting with Dev's much stronger grip.
What the fuck?
Dev seems to say it to himself, almost in a whisper, as if unable to believe what's happening. Cameron isn't able to either.
None of this is real, is it?
Huh?
Did you set this up to make me believe or something?
What? How would I do that?
Speakers or costumes? I don't know. Ow, you're hurting me.
Devin lets Cameron go finally, though he tries to hold on to him to make him look at the bear. But Cameron takes the opportunity to escape, running right for the window. Much easier to get through after Dev's entry.
Cameron!
I'm sorry. I just need to think.
Cameron can hear Devin crying now, but he can't stop. He needs to get out. He needs to get away. He falls clumsily through the window, and as he stands up, he gasps as he comes face to face with Artie. Suddenly, he notices how similar the color of his fur is to the Raincoat Monster.
Whoa, dude, you okay? What's going on? I can hear you guys yelling all the way.
Artie trails off as Cameron backs away from the cat, keeping him in view until he can run away, up the road, to somewhere that's not there. Dev sobs as he fumbles to get out the window, wondering if he's dreaming. This can't be happening. He looks around the parking lot, but all he sees is Artie.
So I want to point out one thing before we continue, and that is the name of this build. The first three builds didn't get little names. This one did. And the name of build 4 is Prodrome, which means the pre onset of a type of mental illness.
Where did he go?
Artie points wordlessly, and Devin jogs up the length of the parking lot to look around the motel. Cameron is nowhere in sight. Devin stares for a while, hoping to see Cameron pop out from behind one of the dilapidated structures, but he doesn't.
Dude, what happened?
Something wrong with Cameron.
I actually love it. This is like the only time you get to see Devin crying. is when he
Yeah.
realizes that Cameron doesn't trust him at the moment. It
Mhm.
made him cry.
Something's wrong with Cameron.
I know. You look totally freaked out. Did that meth head get to him too or something?
No, I don't know. He's not making sense. He's not thinking right.
What do you mean?
Devin takes a deep, shuddering breath, still staring, realizing Cam might have already made it to the dirt road off Main Street. Devin rubs his face vigorously with both paws.
He said something about us setting him up.
Setting him up? For what?
I don't know. It's like he's not in his right state of mind or something.
Devin stops himself from saying completely lost it, because that just sounds wrong. Seeing no sign of Cameron, Devin suddenly feels panic bloom in his chest. What if Cameron is so far gone that he's gone running off into the desert? He would die.
Shit. Are you sure he ran this way?
Dev starts walking quickly up the road, looking at each abandoned structure, scanning the desert landscape all the while. His panic has settled into a dull, persistent feeling of dread, and his crying is mostly under control, just sniffling every now and then. Artie follows behind him.
Yeah, positive, man. He was running, though.
Shit.
Hey, he just looked really emotional. Doesn't he have panic attacks?
Yeah, but that wasn't just a panic attack. Something else is going on.
Has he done this before?
No.
Isn't he on medication?
No, man. He's not on medication.
But wasn't he?
Dude, this isn't helping anything right now.
Sorry, it's just that I remember him telling me he was on antipsychotic back in college.
Devin's blood runs cold.
I think it was just like antidepressants or something. Why would he even tell you? Cameron!
Dev's voice echoes hollowly up the street, unanswered.
He was on both, I'm pretty sure. He was talking to Maria about it since she's been on a bunch of them for her bipolar disorder. I think he was just looking for advice on how to deal with the side effects. And I'm a psych major, so there's that.
Ah, yes. When you can't be an engineer, what do?
Psych!
Yeah.
Love it.
Yep.
Are you? Cameron!
Are you? Duh. I'm a failed STEM major. Behavioral sciences are like STEM.
Oh, rude.
Oh, so true.
Yeah, there's so many times that
How's my little dropout physics major doing over here?
Oh, God.
Wait, wasn't he in chemistry?
Well, I
Was it
eventually...
physics?
Well, I started off in physics.
Ah.
I quickly realized that was not for me, and then I double majored in psych and chemistry.
Ah,
Yep.
okay.
This game knows college kids because it just a few seconds, well, several hours ago it was teasing music majors. And I was like, too true. And then the STEM major was like, actually, majoring in music is like harder than STEM even, which is an exact word that all my STEM friends would tell me.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to think here. Like, of our friend group in general, is there any degree that hasn't been poked at yet that one of us has? Because all I can think of is Sam with her theater degree.
Theater and music have similar ways to poke fun at them.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like technically they are different.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
And if I recall, she got the useful theater degree, which is the
Stage manager.
stage manager. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an easier one to get a job in than good old performance.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I thought of doing.
Well, I mean, she doesn't want to be on stage or anything like that. She actually does prefer helping around with like the stage and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just not being on it herself.
Everybody loves their stage managers.
Oh yeah.
Rude.
Despite that being something Artie might normally say, it sounds forced, like he's trying to keep the mood light. All Devin can think about right now is he couldn't have even been bothered to know what medications his boyfriend was taking and why. He just knew they made him feel like shit. So when Cameron said he just wanted to stop whatever it was he was taking, Devin encouraged him, and Cameron seemed happier after that.
Oh, yes. The magical ability to suddenly feel better when you stop taking your medication. That's always a great idea.
No.
Insert the obvious sarcasm on the screen now.
Stop taking medication does not make you feel better. Actually, no.
Yeah, take your meds.
Mm-hmm.
Same way you would take meds for diabetes, right? Like, says the person who doesn't take psych meds. So, I mean, that's easy for me to say.
Well,
but still.
Okay, so the thing is, if you do think that your medication's not helping you, you should talk to your doctor about that.
Correct,
And you should go and see if there's another medication, because honestly, you are probably taking medication for a reason.
Correct.
They, as much as everyone says, oh, they're always pushing pills. No, they tell you to do therapy first. If therapy doesn't work, then they go for pills, because doing anything to your brain is super duper difficult. So
Yeah.
any type of anything that affects your brain's chemistry, they are very loath to mess around with or screw around with.
Yep.
And if you are actually dealing with a doctor who is like, oh, no, screw therapy, we're going to just give you a pill, that's not
Change
a good doctor.
Correct.
No.
Correct, yeah. Good psychs will actually be like, I don't, like most of the psychs I know are like, let's kind of talk about what's going on, let's try therapy, and then if we, in therapy, are able to kind of see that you need extra and intensive support that therapy cannot offer, because you can't just like wish your psychological illnesses away, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't just like, oh, well, if I change my behavior, I'm not going to have psychosis or ADHD or whatever it is.
Well, yeah,
right?
not for like actual full-on disorders, but like for some issues
Even
within your life,
depression,
behavioral
though,
therapy
right?
can help.
That's the way our
Yeah.
brain works, right? There are some people who, going to therapy is going to help them because they're not. There's a difference between
There's a difference between
depression.
clinical depression and depression in
Correct.
general.
Yeah. So like if you are clinically depressed versus you need to see a psychologist depressed, right? Because you need to see a psychologist depressed where it's like, hey, get help. And then there's clinical depression, which is your brain tells you to be sad.
Mhm.
And we want to try to help your brain not tell you
Well,
to be
it's
sad.
not that your brain's telling you to be sad.
It's just
The chemistry within
it's
your
ta-
brain.
Well, the
yeah.
chemistry within your brain is essentially making it so that it's harder to feel positive emotions.
Yeah.
Correct.
It's like, hey, you know that thing that makes you happy? I'm just not gonna activate that
Yeah.
a lot.
That's actually the biggest issue with depression is everyone always thinks, oh, you gotta be sad for depression. Depression's actually more of a thing of you can't really feel like
Yeah.
positive emotions as well.
My sister who she does not have depression, but she has friends who have depression. When they saw Inside Out, they were like, that. Oh my gosh, that. Where like you have sadness and joy are both out of their
Yeah, where you're not
control room.
feeling anything.
Correct.
Yeah. I will fully admit I've actually dealt with like bouts of depression like that one way or another. I have not had to deal with that for quite a few years, so mine was very much a behavioral thing, was not a clinical one.
Yeah.
So, but I went through a lot of different therapy, like throughout my life to get to that point. And I actually could probably point where I probably got that depression from as well within my own like history, because I wasn't born with it very much so. So either way, let's get away from me on that type of stuff. What I'm trying to say though is that if you are given pills or anything, you gotta be very careful with them. From my own personal experience and my own family's history and all that, I know how important pills are.
Oh,
So,
yes.
like for example, I have an aunt who was actually unfortunately misdiagnosed with having schizophrenia, and we thought for roughly a decade that she had schizophrenia.
I think I remember you mentioning that before. And at that point in time, like you were still sure that she had it.
Yeah, and the thing was, like, she had a lot of like the signs for it, and I'm still not convinced she doesn't have some version of it if it's a mild version. But turns out what her real issue was, she had generalized anxiety disorder on top of all that. And so whenever she was like seeing things, hearing things that weren't there, and it was causing her panic attacks and all that, we thought it was the schizophrenia when no, it was her anxiety.
Huh.
And so when they started treating the anxiety instead of the schizophrenia, she suddenly improved drastically.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. It's actually what Arturo is saying right up there, basically, right now.
And that's the thing is like, they gotta treat things with different medications, and the schizophrenia medication somewhat helped her, but nowhere near as much as like actual anxiety medication helped her.
Okay.
So it was one of those things of, unfortunately, they didn't know how to diagnose it back then at that time.
Yeah.
And we're getting better each and every year with getting better at diagnosing.
Yeah, mental
things.
illness is something that like I think it's like the last frontier of medicine in the sense that like
I mean, it's not the last frontier,
Yeah.
but like
It's the one it's the one that we're making the most leaps and bounds in how to truly treat the person. Because like originally it was like, oh, we don't want to deal with you. How about we lock you in this place?
Well, I mean, yeah. If you're looking at it that way, then yes, we've made the most progress in there
Correct.
within the past century. Because before then, we were not anywhere near as well versed in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, we don't want to deal with you. We'll lock you in a room. Then it was, we don't want to lock you in a room. Here's some meds.
But
Now it's kind of like a more holistic approach.
Actually, I have an interesting thing about how amazingly medicine has affected within our things within our culture. So throughout like a lot of early film, in order to denote that someone truly had died, they'd be shot through the heart because you couldn't save someone from a heart shot, essentially, like if their heart was destroyed or anything like that. But once we start progressing in medicine and could actually save and replace someone's heart, and you could even remove their heart and they wouldn't die quite yet, that's when suddenly the only way to truly kill someone in a movie was a headshot. And so the headshot started to rise in movies and things like that. After that, once we realized, oh, well, the heart isn't actually the thing that kills you immediately. The brain, though, if you take that out, they're gone.
I don't know. There's a classic rock song that would stay otherwise. If you shot through the heart, then you're too late, you know?
No, I think it was like you're
I thought it was
blame.
To blame, yeah.
You give love a better name.
Yeah, like Bon Jovi.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, I wanted to point that out because, like, we're progressing all the time.
Yeah.
And it also feeds back into the media and everything we consume, too.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I find is a personal annoyance is how much media is like, well, psychology and medication for psychoactive issues or anything like that, those were all bullshit and they didn't help me. I'm like, mainly probably because they were misdiagnosed at that time, unfortunately. You gotta keep giving them a shot.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then talk to your medical professional before getting off meds, because that's also why we see a lot of people who have been, I want to say healed, right? They're able to function at a comfortable level in society. So they're like, oh, I can function at a comfortable level in society. And then they stop taking their pills. And then they, go down a not so great path for them again. And then they're like, oh, and then they get, usually arrested, actually. And then they start taking their pills again, and they can function in society again. It just keeps being a cycle.
Yeah.
So take your pills, kids.
Take
They
your
are
legal
medication
pills.
for a reason.
Yes.
Brush your pills.
Yeah.
Take your prescribed pills.
Yes. Hold on. Don't take pills. Don't take random pills.
just
Wait. Let's make this PSA completely correct.
Well, no. I'm trying to remember like my favorite version of this. It's like, brush your pills, drink your teeth, and then, let's see here. Take your milk, I think, was the last one.
There we
It was
go.
like brush your milk or something. And then, all I remember is that it ended with eat your teeth.
Eat your teeth.
I feel like Dev is the protagonist of this game.
I had to say that Devin and Cameron are definitely deuteragonists.
Maybe co-protagonists.
Yeah, it's the deuteragonist situation.
Because and even the narrator will shift whose perspective they're jumping between, and yeah.
You know who we're never gonna see? Arturo. Damn. F. Arturo.
No,
I don't have a perspective.
Actually, I'm actually very much worried about Artie, especially after the line that Cameron said about how the raincoat monster had the same fur color as Arturo. Mainly because there's something that goes on in Echo that I know something in there happens, and I'm thinking like, oh no, if that happened there, is that gonna happen here?
Oh dear.
Oh no.
Oh, not this boy.
Watch your back, Artie.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not saying he's like schizophrenic. Antipsychotics can be combined with antidepressants for just plain old depression sometimes. I think he's just panicking a little. I probably would if I went into that motel alone.
No fan.
Bad fan. Bad.
Who go off now?
The fan is in charge of giving me the middle finger.
It's like night has fallen. It is dark and cold now. I will turn on. No, don't turn on. Bad fan.
I'm not a fan of you, fan.
Whoa there.
No. Cameron was panicking, sure, but he was accusing Devin of setting him up, of tricking him. Cameron didn't trust him, and that's something Devin has never seen before.
It's because they're playing Among Us, and Devin is
Oh, Logan.
Dev is sus.
Rude.
They made
Oh,
so many
club.
different. They made so many changes to Among Us. It's unreal.
Well, a bunch of little
Totally.
kids started playing it, and then it's just like
Oh, what
that's how
is
you
it?
know you kill. That's how you know you kill a game real fast. From what I understand, a bunch of little kids playing it, Fortnite was actually a pretty decent game. I don't know. I never played it, but
I mean,
The
yeah,
person-
my cousin enjoyed it from what I've heard. I've just never been into shooters, but he's like, yeah,
Yeah.
it was a decent game with friends. And then he stopped playing it because there were kids online.
Well, you know what makes Fortnite the best game ever? The fact that Sasuke is able to do like various dances now within Fortnite.
I think it's shit that you can have a squad of Naruto, Rick from Rick and Morty, Master Chief, and Thanos.
Yeah.
okay, that's actually makes me kind of want to play the game. I'm not gonna lie.
A little bit, right? But I'm like, I can't play this game.
Well, and I would die immediately.
Though
I'm not there.
if there are two games I rarely play over Among Us nowadays, it's either First Class Trouble or Goose Goose Duck.
Mm.
Oh, I've heard good things about that. I haven't played it, but
See, I don't think we ever got to play like Among Us that much. Weirdly
we
enough.
didn't. No, we didn't.
No.
We
One or
played
two
Jackbox
times.
games instead usually.
Yeah, I would like for us to do Among Us at some point,
It's
especially
fun.
because there was that new map that we just played one time.
Yeah.
Which new map is it?
It was this. It was like the huge one with like
the airship.
Yeah, the airship. Thank you.
Yeah.
Actually, it was oh yeah, Polaris. I think it was?
No, that's the spaceship. But there's like an airship
Uh-huh.
that's like huge and everything.
Oh
like
yeah, that's
you
right.
had to every time you do a meeting, you had to pick where you're gonna spawn from because it's that big.
Oh yeah.
Instead of you starting from one spot, you start from one of three.
Huh.
And then they had another edition. They had Among Us, which I read. They had some new roles.
Yeah, that was because there was a lot of people who were doing mods that added some
Yeah.
roles like that anyway.
It actually looks fun.
To be honest, there needs to be other roles.
I
agree.
do like other roles, especially in like those kinds of games, like in Werewolf or Mafia or like that.
Yeah, I had yet to see anyone ever win by just doing all the actions.
Oh, I've seen
Really?
that quite a few times.
Oh, really?
In fact, I think we've won a few
Yeah.
times like that. When
Yeah,
we
we
were-
have.
So I guess I stand corrected. There you go then.
I mean, we're very kill happy, but the thing is, you
Mhm.
can still win through the objectives. The best game though that I have for like those hidden role games is Town of Salem, mainly because everyone gets a role. No one is unimportant.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've never played Town Salem.
And that's a board game, right?
No, it's a.
It's an online version of Werewolf where they
Yeah.
just give roles to everyone because
Yeah.
Werewolf can have more roles, but you have to like manually choose them. While Town of Salem usually
Mhm.
kind of just gives those out.
Well, and like I don't know if you guys ever played the board game Secret Hitler. It's the same.
Oh
idea.
yeah,
It's
Secret
like,
Hitler.
It's like everyone has, even if you're not actively one of the cool parts,
Mm-hmm.
you still have a role to play,
Mm-hmm.
which is important because then it's like because I remember there have been times where I played Among Us and I was never the
Imposter.
imposter, and I'm like, okay. I'm
I mean,
doing all
that's
these menial
very much the
tasks
case for me.
over
Is
and
I'm
over
never
and
the
over again.
imposter, but you know, I was always the first to be murdered by someone because everyone would always like just go for me because I would go off on my own
Yeah.
because somebody's got to go off on their own at some point,
Yeah.
and so
I
they would
remember
always
there
trail
was
me.
there was one time we were playing with you, and you were just like, "Oh, hi, Hannah," and that was right before I murdered you.
Because
Yeah, and you guys
Shit.
you
I
won.
will fully admit, I am not mean enough to say, "Oh, this person killed me," but we were like having like the call on. I said, "Hi, Hannah, you murdered me immediately," and I'm just like, "Well, I'll just be silent. I won't even mute myself. I will just be silent because I don't want to ruin the game." I wonder if
Hannah
anyone will
won
remember
too, if I
this.
recall.
I don't know if I actually won, but
I know you were not caught for my murder.
Yes.
No
not,
one
not
figured
for that
out.
murder. No, I think it might have taken another turn or something like that.
I think. Oh wait. No, that was Zach. Never mind.
There was like a good like 7 games in a row where I was just
Yeah.
the single imposter.
I remember there was like by game 5 or something, we just hit the button and we're like, "It's Seb!"
and I was like, no, damn.
And what's funny is that when Seb's not around, it's female Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I remember that.
I think like the one thing. So, I don't know why Zach did this, but this made me laugh so hard. I don't think he, but I remember he goes to me, "Hey Matt, I want to show you something funny." I'm like, "Okay, sure." He brings him to the room, and just as the lights turn on, 3 dead bodies. I'm like, "What the fuck?"
Honestly, yeah, that makes sense for Zach.
That's funny.
It's one of the greatest moments ever.
Oh.
Oh yeah, my favorite thing though to do with Zach is like if one of us is the imposter, usually we'll like reveal ourselves to the other, and we're just like, "Well, I'm your ride or die now. I'm third imposter for you, friend."
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But that's only if we actually like reveal to each other. Sometimes we won't, so that way we can have an alibi.
That's what Zach does with me too. If I'm an imposter and I kill in front of Zach, he's like, okay, come on.
Yeah, because Zach's very good about just like, I'll be third imposter.
Sure.
Tea. I feel really bad for Dev.
I do too.
Yeah.
Well, because it's clear that like this is exactly what this entity wanted to do to Cam. Like it's playing with Cam's brain, right? Because Cam was not talking like Cam.
Yeah, it's definitely acting as intrusive thoughts.
Correct.
Because like you know, like every single time there's like that italicized text, I think that's like whatever this entity is trying to be intrusive thoughts.
Correct.
Essentially.
Because Cam trusts Dev
Oh yeah.
implicitly. So what's going on here is something else is manipulating Cam.
Yeah, and that's why Cameron like didn't outright say I don't trust you, but he was saying I need time to think. I need time to sort out my thoughts, because even he can tell something's not quite right.
Mm-hmm.
Either way.
And remember, with his tolerance, he's probably still pretty high. Could just be paranoid.
Devin gasps, and Arturo stares at him, frozen. Then, rage and horror explodes in Devin's chest.
The fucking weed.
Whoa, what happened?
You fucking knew he has problems. Was on medication in college, and you just let him get stoned?
Artie stares.
Well, I didn't remember until just now. Besides, if that's what's making him freak out, it's gonna wear off.
No! He said I was tricking him. He didn't trust me, Artie. He said I was planting fucking speakers so he'd hear voices.
Artie continues to stare, but doesn't say anything this time. Devin does his best to avoid saying what he thinks is happening.
That's not just panic. That's more than just that. Fuck, man! His mom died because of this shit. What if he's wandering off in the middle of the desert right now and...
When he had researched psychosis, he came across plenty of stories just like this.
I just love every new thing that's revealed about Cameron. It shows even more about like, oh yeah, this was a real bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
This was a real dumb idea, Devin, to bring your boyfriend here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but it also empowered Cameron.
I mean, if he gets out of this alive, sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're still in the middle of this, so until we see the end result, like the thing is, right now we don't know. We're just seeing the means. We don't know if the ends are going to justify this or not.
Yep.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. The way so many of them ended. Devin feels like he's about to throw up. After a few seconds of silence, Artie clears his throat.
Listen, we don't know anything yet, but if I cause this to happen, I'm sorry. Either way, I'm gonna help you find your man, okay? It's only been 5 minutes.
Devin starts to calm down a bit, breathing more evenly.
Like I said, my girlfriend's bipolar, and even though I know it's not exactly the same, she's had moments like this too, and we always come out all right. So how about we look for 20, maybe 30 minutes? I'm sure we'll find him. If we don't, though, I'm gonna run my ass back up the road until I get call service and call 911, alright?
Dev takes a shuddering breath.
Yeah, okay. Let's go.